What's going on, guys? We got October 14th, 2:02 a.m. My eyes are still like a little stuffy, but we still here. We're at PF right now. I'm dreading this leg day right now because I took the two past days off, but I went skateboarding yesterday, so that was technically my little leg workout. And then the day before I just took off, so we back in here. I just really wanted to come on here and basically talk about focusing on the vision that we have for ourselves instead of the actual grind that has to go into it. And I kind of touched on this a little bit in another one, just talking about instead of thinking about what it takes to accomplish something, more thinking about what's going to be on the other side of it. You know what I mean? And I've been struggling with this recently because in between jobs I've been like I got the job that I wanted, and now I'm like now I'm waiting for it to like actually be able to happen, because you know how forums are and how all that stuff is. So it's a little time that I have to wait in between, and it's like, and I'm waking up and feeling like this uselessness, and it's like, and I know it's fake, but I'm just waking up with the feeling, you know what I mean? Like I can't control my feelings. I regulate them, and I know that it's regulated, but it's just still there, you know what I mean? And that's why I've been like trying to do other things and trying to find the hobbies and trying to find what helps me feel best about myself, you know? Um, but yeah, I really think the first step is the art of thinking beyond the grind and thinking about the actual vision that we have, and like thinking about beyond the struggle that we have to go through to get to the vision. So really just like seeing yourself already finished before it happens, and that affirmation that we have for ourselves, and that the faith that we have really, and the vision happening. Because I know for me, a lot of the time I get into the grind and then I forget what the vision is. So I feel like the first step I need to really take for that is like a picture board, or journaling more has helped me with that, but definitely a vision board I've been talking about for a while I need to get on. And I know that that'll help for a lot of other people too, because I feel like putting that either like on my door, so anytime I walk out of my room I remember, or when I walk into my room having it seen in front of my face, because I feel like a lot of the time that's where I do catch myself like, you know what I mean? Like when I get back from a day of doing a whole bunch of stuff, I don't think about what I accomplished more. I think about, you know what I mean? Like wow, thank God that's over. You know what I mean? So I think a vision board right in front of my face when I first walk into my door will be good, because it'll remind me, okay, that's why we did that today. You know, and that's why. Um, and really, the art of thinking beyond the struggle is one of the hardest, because when you're in the middle of the struggle, that's when it's like, wow, what is happening right now? Like, why am I doing this? And once again, those vision boards, that's what I know that's what would help me, because I'm a visual learner. So if I'm able to see what I'm visually working towards, it'll get me there. You know what I mean? And a lot of people say that's 80% of what you need to accomplish, like writing it down or like having it seen in front of your face. That's like 80% of it, because now you know what the mission is, and now you know what you're working towards. So really, I got to get on that, really, because I feel like that will help me. That will help me a lot. But how to stop overthinking the process and trusting the result. And I know I don't like bringing it up to you guys, but I do feel like having the faith in God, that is what that is what gets me through the process, and that's what gets me through the overthinking. And I need to get stronger within it, because I find myself like I'm talking to God throughout the day, but I don't get on my hands and knees. Like I don't get on my knees and pray a lot. And I think I need to start doing that more often, to like just feel more vulnerable, and then more like giving it up to God. You know what I mean? Because that's definitely something I've never done in my life, where I got on my knees and consistently started praying. And I feel like I could at least try it, because I'm not saying I'm Christian. Like I'm not Christian at all. I'm spiritual. So that's what always threw me off. And Frank Ocean's song, that's Bad Religion, that kind of threw me off of it too, because it always said, um, it's a bad religion. Uh, oh, I'm thinking of a different lyric, but it's something like a bad religion to get on your hands and knee. It's a bad religion. Is gonna, I don't know. Because the lyrics something about it's a bad religion to be in love with someone who would never love you. On a bad religion could have me feeling the way I do. Woo! I love that song. Um, but yeah, so how to stop the overthinking process? I really do think it's being dumb and being delusional enough to believe it, because I feel like when we do start thinking too much of it, it's like, oh, now I'm thinking realistic, and we can't think realistically when we're thinking about our dreams and aspirations. Like, you have to be unrealistic with it, because the world is, and the system is there to be like, oh, remember, hey, remember, this is real life. You know what I mean? But we create our own reality. Like the shirt I'm wearing today. Did you ever think that maybe you are the freak? And I'm the freak in my own mind, bro. I am the freak in my own mind, but I gotta remind other people that they're freaks too. So I have to rock this to be a little billboard. You know what I mean? Because we have to be freaks. We have to be freaks to actually believe that it is going to happen. Because really think about the things that you are trying to accomplish, and the person that you are. You're really not supposed to be that. Like, you're not supposed to be able to accomplish that. But if we're in our delusion enough and we're able to stay in it and consistently just do and be instead of think, it's going to happen sooner or later, where it just like it lays in your lap now, because you're consistently in the, okay, this is me. I got it. This is what I do. This is my being. Like, this is how I am me. And when you get into that mode, it's like it's hard to get out of it, but it's not hard to get out of it at the same time when we start thinking. But when we start doing and we start being, then that's when it's easy to be like, not even think about it. Like okay, I want to say a small change that I've made: cold showers. Now, in a cold shower, it's nothing to me, because I just go into it without thinking. But before, I used to just put my head in and keep my body out, and because like, oh no, it's too cold. But once I started just going into it without thinking, it was now it's just easy for me. And it was on shrooms, I'm not gonna lie. I took a cold shower while on shrooms, and I started feeling like the goosebumps on my body, and I was like, oh, I like this. So then I started to, like, after that, I just started getting in the shower without thinking about what the temperature is, and it's been working perfectly for me. But this weather has been drying my skin up, and like my dandruff has been bad. And it's like that's my biggest pet peeve about myself, is like my dryness of my head area. And I'm not gonna lie, my elbows and knees be ashy too. Most of my legs too, because I've been lotioning my body more, but my legs I don't get it all, because I wear long pants. So, or my legs, my hairy legs are covered. No, my ashy legs are covered by the hair on my legs. So it's like, you know what I mean? Oh, but yeah, just really stop thinking. Like we have to stop thinking to be able to get over the overthinking. You know what I mean? Because once you start thinking, that's when the overthinking starts. Because you start to be like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, I don't know how to do that. And then it starts going into, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not. You know what I mean? It goes into the spiral. If you know, you know. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to keep explaining that, because I feel like at this point we understand what's going on here. You know? Do we really? Because no one really sees this. But I did have my one video. I did have 10 comments on, which was like I was very excited for. But it was, of course, the one talking about religion, and that's what. Of course. Then the only comments were like, "Oh, go touch some grass," or "Oh, God said this, God said that." That's why I have been weary about talking about it, because I know that there's people out there that are like that, bro. But who really cares about those people, dude? Because you're ignorant within your own self. So, dude, that's crazy. This guy that just pulled up next to me, I saw him in the gym. He's driving in this BMW, dude. Okay, Indian dude. So you know, nah. uh your future self already did it. We're just catching up to it now. Because I feel like once again, God has a plan for us that is written already. So how I put it to myself, I put it the writing is already there. We just have to put the ink on it. You know what I mean? Like, because you know how when you write, you kind of write and engrave the paper, but the engraving is already there. We just now have to put our ink to it. So it's like the engraving is all there already. Our story is all there already, but we can't see it yet. So we have to be able to put the ink onto the engraving to be able to now we're flourishing in the story. You know what I mean? So it's already done. It's already done. Our future self is looking and thinking about what we're going through right now, and kind of like laughing at us because it's like you're questioning all this that's gonna happen, but it's already done. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing because once again, we are a being and a consciousness. We are not human. So our human body is catching up to our consciousness that already is. Because because I feel like the universe is already started and ended the way like it's already started and ended. Now humanity is just catching up to the story that is already made, you know? So same thing for us. The story for us is already made. Our human bodies are just now catching up to it, and we have to put ourselves in the position for that story to continue to happen. So that's why we are catching up to our future selves because our future selves have already done it. Oh, the trap of hustle culture and mistaking consistent effort for meaningful progress. Oh my gosh, I used to get caught into this so much with insurance because that's how that the guys who are like up there, those are the guys who are like, you need to be working every day. You need to get 5, 6 days out of the week to be able to be successful in this. But those are the guys who are working 4 days out of the week and not going into the field. You know what I mean? But that's obviously because they put the time and effort in already. But now they know that they don't need to put that consistent effort in. But they need to tell people that because it took that consistent effort to get to where they were. But it took them probably a lot longer to do it if they just put meaningful purpose behind what they were doing instead of the consistency because yes, consistency is going to get you where you are, but if you're consistent but burnt out while you're consistent, it's kind of like you're wasting days. You know what I mean? Like you go into it consistently, but you're drained. You're not going to be able to give your 100% effort that you would give if you at least took that day off or something. You know what I mean? Like you took that day off that you're drained, and you come back the next day being able to fully be you. Because I feel like a lot of the time I caught myself going into the field, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Then I would go home early and I was just like, I would waste my time, then I'll waste my gas, and I'll waste my mileage, and I'll waste my time, then I'll waste my effort on this consistency that I was looking for instead of the meaningful progress that I had. Because the days I would take days off and then come back the next day and I would have an amazing day. And I would like, but then I would get my ass burnt if I took the day off. So then I would get caught in sometimes taking the day off and coming back and crushing the next day. But then my upline would call me and be like, "Dude, what's going on, bro? You need to get out there." Then I would get out there and then just waste my day. You know what I mean? So definitely remind yourself to not get trapped in the hustle culture that's going on around right now because everyone's you need to be working 60 hours a week. You need to be doing this every day, doing that every day. And it's really not that way, bro. Like if you can find a good balance between the consistency and the grace you give yourself as well, then that's when you're able to get that's when things are able to change. I've realized that now. The vision is what fuels the grind, not the grind feeling, not the other way around. So the vision that we have for ourselves, we have to consistently remind ourselves because that's what fuels the grind. That's what gets me. I know for me, that's what gets me through the grind is the vision on the end of it. Like reminding myself of why I'm doing it. Because a lot of the time, I feel like I caught myself the thinking the grind fueled the vision, but that's not what it is at all. Because if you don't have a vision, what are you grinding for? Like there's nothing to grind for. You have to have the vision first to fuel the grind to be able to get into what you want. I'm sorry, I'm getting hiccups right now. Like and like putting yourself around the right people who have a vision for themselves as well. Because once you guys start telling each other the visions that you have, you can hold each other accountable without bringing each other down. I talked about that in my last podcast about surrounding yourself around the right people who will fuel and remind you who you are instead of draining you. And that's another thing that we have to remind ourselves that other people have the vision for themselves too. So when we're able to give each other our visions of what we want to plan, now we're able to hold each other accountable to hold that vision to ourselves, you know? So just staying around the right people, having that vision for yourself. So that vision board or writing down what you want in your life has to be done to be able to fuel the grind to be able to get through it. Because the grind, once you get in the middle of the grind of you're not where you used to be, but you're not where you want to be, now you can't touch it. There's no walls to touch. Now you're like, where am I? Where am I? But when we're able to go back to that vision and we're able to go back to what is fueling our grind, now we can get to the end of where we want to be. You know what I mean? Um, and just how staying calm within the progress, because it feels like the progress feels invisible sometimes. Like I said, like we're not where we used to be, but we're not where we're supposed to be. So now there's like no walls of like, now you don't have the dopamine of being like, oh, I'm making progress, I'm making progress, I'm making progress. And I see where I want to be. But now you're at like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, so I can't go back. But now I don't know where this, like, I don't know how far I am from this because I can't see it yet. So it's like it feels invisible because there's like no boundary. But that's the best part of having no boundary. Because if we put a boundary on ourselves, then that's when we start getting realistic and we start getting like tied down to this real world things. And these real world things aren't real at all. They're not real. Think about money, think about career, think about job path, think about anything that we do in these real world things that we don't want to do is all numbers. It is all numbers. Think about your insurance policy on your car. They ask you what your name is, then they find your policy number. Life insurance, they ask what your policy number is before they even ask your number. I mean, they ask your number before they even ask your name. Your social security number, the VIN number on your car, the phone number that you have, the email that you have, the the subscription to Planet Fitness you have is all number. It's all numbers. And numbers, are they real? No, no. Time isn't real. Like all of it is not real, but it's a concept that is made by humans and man and some women. But it's all made up, so we have to remind ourselves that what we have planned is real. That's what's real. But this world that is around us is what's telling us to be realistic, pull us back down and be like, hey, this is real life. It's not though. It's not. It's the real life that they have for themselves because they have envisioned what they wanted for their life and they're creating it. But they have to keep people under to be able to sustain that, because if people were to realize that they can make their own dreams come true and that we didn't need the system, it would be it would be terrible for the system, because now people aren't under them and they're not depending on them, so they don't have the control. And that's what the government and the world really wants, is control. There's this consistent ego battle and ego that is just fighting each other and trying to be like, no, this is the way everything's going to be ran. No, it's going to be ran my way. No, it's going to be ran my way. No, you run your life your own way instead of trying to tell people how to run their life. You know what I mean? um and how focusing on the wins makes the work lighter instead of focusing on the outcome and the process not getting there. So focusing on the small wins that we do have day in and day out instead of focusing on the big picture that we have. Because yes, it's good looking at the vision, but when you're too stuck on the vision and you're like having these small wins right now, you start to contradict yourself, because now you're like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. Like, I need to be doing this. But we have to take a step back and remind ourselves we have to do these small steps before we can get to the big stuff. Because think about a pyramid. You have to have the base of the pyramid solid before you can have the top perfect. So we have to be able to be this solid ground for ourselves before we can start layering ourselves, then layering ourselves more, then layering ourselves more. Because if you don't have a solid ground and you do get to the top, it's gonna come crashing down sooner or later. So that's why our solid bottom has to be solid, because if it's not, you're building a kingdom on sand, and sand is not like reliable when it comes to those type of things, because when things get heavy, it just collapses right under it. So why would we ever not take the small steps to make sure that everything's right, to make sure that in the future, when our future self needs us, when our future selves needed the things that we needed to do now, and it can't because it has too much on its plate now. We already did it in the past, that we solidified all that, you know what I mean? So we have to be able to work for our future selves, but remind ourselves that our current self has to do the small things for our future self, you know what I mean? Focusing on the outcome and not the process getting there. So basically, when we do fail in life, we look at the failure instead of the lesson that it was taught, like the lesson that it taught us. So, but when we are able to change our perspective and look at the lesson that it was taught, then that's when it's like, okay, that was a win. And then now you get onto a consistent weekly basis. Now, oh, I had to win that day, then I had to win this day, then I had to win this way, then I had to win this day. So it's like you can never really fail because our failures are our experience. So then that's when our testimonies come in. So now we have testimonies for our past too, and we gained experience from that. And experience is what gets you the success, and what gets you, and what you're able to battle off the things that happen consistently now, because you have to fail once to know how to get yourself back up. So now when you fail once, now you see the what is it, the signs that the failure is coming. So now you're able to be like, oh, okay, now I need to do this instead, now I need to try something new. So it's really being able to fail, but not looking at it as a failure, but seeing it as more experience. You won experience. Yeah, you failed in whatever you did, but you won in the experience that you gained. A lot of people do not remember that. Um, oh my gosh, and when you focus on what you will become and not letting these real world things change your vision, like I was saying, I forgot I even put this. Like, we have to remind ourselves that these real world things that are happening and that we need to do, we have to do because we are in the system right now. Of course we're in the system because we're not we're not being enough to get out of the system. So we have to remind ourselves that this vision that we have, and that this goal that we have for ourselves is real, and that it's going to happen, and it will happen. But we can't let these real world things that we have to do cloud our judgment of that. Like I said this in the past, like we had this timeline for ourselves, and so we can use the timeline as a vision now. So we see the vision of what we want our timeline to be, but then we have these real life things that hiccup us. So then we have to get over that hill, and then we have to get over another hill, and another hill to get to the end of the vision. But a lot of the time, people have these real world things that they have to do that now change the trajectory of tra- tra- trajectory of their vision. Now, instead of this flat plane that we have, now it's like, oh, now we're going this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then back this way, and then, you know what I mean? So we have to be able to know what our vision is and remind ourselves that it's going to happen as long as we actually want it to happen. And you want it more than other people, it's going to happen as long as we consistently stay on this right path. And we can't let these real world things be able to cloud that judgment and change where our timeline is going. Because if we do, then that's when we fall to the system, and that's when we're taking the kneeling and beating and just taking it. But when we have to fight to stand, we have to battle to stand, not even walk, just to stand. Of course it's going to change people's trajectory, because that's they want to easily stand, but we have to fight to stand. And really, like, we can't let these real world things happen, because when we are letting it happen, when we are letting it change our judgment and vision of who we are, that's when we're letting the world win. That's when we're letting the system win, and we cannot let that happen. And now I'm feeling pumped to get into this gym, so I gotta call y'all later. I'm gonna call y'all tomorrow. Well, y'all are gonna see this tomorrow, but then I'm gonna call y'all the next day, and then the next day, and the next day, because good things are on the way, boys and women. Good things are on the way, and I can't wait to see all these good things that are gonna happen in the future. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday, and I hope that you crushed everything on Tuesday and Monday. Now, middle of the week, hump day. Only got 2 more days left of the week, then we to the weekend. Let's go. Good things are on the way. Good things are coming. Let's go.